Who was Lester Bangs?
One bright light was Lester Bangs, El Cajon kid.
He could have been an A-plus student all the way down the line if he'd wanted to apply himself.
He was a very sharp person. He was literary, he had knowledge, he was extraordinarily witty, he was very good looking at the time. He was into weirdos, he was interesting.
And you walked into Lester's room and it was like, what the heck's going on here, you know?
I mean, he died young in his early 30s, and much of his writing happened here in El Cajon.
Lester was our Moses.
He was the great gonzo journalist, the gutter poet, the romantic visionary of writing about rock and roll.
Lester Bangs wasn't the first great rock and roll journalist, nor the last. What set Lester apart was that he became the iconic image of what a rock and roll journalist was and should be. Just as deeply as rock and roll flowed through musicians like Elvis and John Lennon, rock and roll writing and criticism flowed from the very core of Lester Bangs' being. From his own niche corner within the music industry of the late 60s and 1970s, Lester became an icon, a pirate, a Robin Hood, and Creem magazine readers knew it. They got it. Lester connected with hungry rock and roll kids, providing a voice and authenticity that couldn't even be found in the lyrics of their mutual rock and roll heroes. In that way, it was Lester who was the voice of his generation. But before all of that, Lester Bangs grew up in El Cajon, California. Not only did he go from child to adolescent to young adult in El Cajon, he established the first 3 years of his writing career from his mom's apartment in El Cajon. During the 1969 to 1971 period, he freelanced for Rolling Stone. This film is called A Box Full of Rocks, the El Cajon years of Lester Bangs. It examines Lester's life from 1960, when at age 11 he moved to El Cajon with his mother, until 1971, when he left El Cajon for good to accept a job writing for Creem magazine in Detroit, Michigan. The film includes interviews with Lester's high school friends Rob Houghton, Gary Raychek, Jack Butler, and Jerry Rainey, as well as commentary from biographer Jim DeRogatis, Ugly Things publisher Mike Stax, Grammy-nominated musician and journalist John Canis, and others. A Box Full of Rocks includes a soundtrack of new original music and a newly reunited The Dark Ages, the band Lester played with while still in high school.
It's where he spent all those formative years here. El Cajon screams loud and clear from the pages of Creem magazine, and later as well from like the Village Voice. He just transferred the El Cajon vibe.
I think El Cajon had a huge part in shaping who Lester was, of course, because he lived his entire adolescence there. And maybe El Cajon wasn't that different from 1,000 other suburbs, certainly of Southern California. It was kind of nowheresville. But those are the places that always breed the best creativity.
Lester Bangs' family background was unique, to say the least. We're talking about something that one of his relatives called the closed circle, a really tight-knit group of 3 families that were interconnected: the Ketchings, the Bangses, and the Cliftons. They were connected by 3 marriages. But this wasn't a big, warm, welcoming family that got together for big parties or barbecues. It was a closed circle in the sense that many of the key members were Jehovah's Witnesses.
He was smarter than the rest of us, let's put it that way, and he was kind of like a hip nerd, back in those days when he was, semi-quiet, but he always had something intelligent to say, and he'd write these little stories and stuff, and he just had these little mannerisms about him, he actually looked like maybe what, Abraham Lincoln would have looked like when he was a kid or something. He was tall, lanky, dark hair, he'd talk to you and he'd always be going, you know, Jerry, you know, your band could be a lot better if you played more Yardbirds.
Lester Bangs used to come in with his harmonica. We'd call him up, we'd be doing a Yardbirds rave up, and he'd come up and blow on I'm a Man. Lester didn't really sing. He should have. It would have been great. But he would play harmonica, Jerry Rennie would sing, and he would just rip it up. He'd come in quite often in a long overcoat and with his harmonicas and just wail up on the stage, just a big ball of energy.
We were the only ones who really looked for the darker and the riskier things. Lester did everything flat out. He never held back. He did everything he did at a furious pace. And you know, whether, you know, when he was writing, he was writing like crazy. And when he wanted to be a musician, he would get out his harmonica and just blow on it. You know, and maybe the result, the sound was only distantly connected to any kind of music that I would say. At least he did it. He was enthusiastic about it and did it all into the night.
It was just what kids would do in a Southern California suburban town to seek one another out and talk, play, and spin music at the time. So, and I was just very fortunate that one of my friends was Lester Bangs, because I learned an awful lot from him. And I was fortunate that I was the last friend of his that he actually sought out the last time he was in San Diego. I saw him the night before he went back to New York. And a month, maybe 6 weeks later, he passed away.